When I first saw the all-new 3rd generation BMW X3, honestly, I wasn't very impressed by how it looked. It looked shy, reserved, and the fact that you can get this xDrive30i with the luxury line package with chrome splattered all over the car doesn't exactly help either. But there is one silver lining. This car review episode is powered by the all-new Petronas Premax 95 with ProDrive. So let me first address the massive elephant in the room, this awfully oversized kidney grille. Traditionally, the grille has always been the identity of a car, and for BMW, it's these two things. Over the years, I've seen them grow from being as big as my fist to now as big as my face. What happened? I know the X3 is catered to a more mature crowd, but not to senior citizens with eyesight problems. It's so huge, you can see this from a mile away and people will know it's a BMW. There's really no need to be shouty about it. BMW owners, majority of them I feel are more discreet people. And as a result, it doesn't look very proportionate with the car. You might as well stick a larger badge onto it, like this. Better, don't you think? And the gaps are so huge, you can actually see the strut through it. And it's not like it has active flaps to cover it while you're driving, so you perpetually see it. It's so ugly. It's like looking at someone's nose and a couple of hairs sticking out. Ew! I do like this new bumper design, which is much better looking than the one before, which had a fog lamp right under the headlamps, like a teardrop tattoo on a rapper's face. Although, where's the fog lamp for this? On the side, I must say, I'm not exactly a fan of how these 19-inch wheels look under that new squarish wheel arch design, which kind of gives the side profile a little more character. But what I really despise though is that. What is that? Because this car comes with the luxury line package, you get a chrome strip on the front fender. But in the real world of luxury, that air vent is what we call a fake. It doesn't actually do anything. What's the purpose of it? If anything, I think the side profile would look so much cleaner and better without it. At the back, I think this new taillight design looks really good, very alluring. It comes with hands-free boot access as well, which is one of the more responsive systems I've tried. Open up and you get 550 liters of space with some hooks on the side, a 12-volt socket. But check this out. Lift this lid up, there's an extra storage compartment, and it holds by itself. Now that's what I can appreciate. All in all, I think it's a big step up compared to the old model's design. There is, however, a but. While it may look attractive, it's not exactly impressive or flattering. I don't know, maybe it's the rims, maybe it's the brown color, maybe even the trims. Because the non-luxury line models in other countries with lesser trims, nicer wheels and a different color look so much better. I actually have mixed feelings about this one. And it's quite rare because usually I can quite confidently tell you whether I like how a car looks or not. But this one though, I'll tell you what, let's do a poll. If you like how the car looks, just key in like in the comment section. But if you don't, key in no like. And let's see how it goes. Inside, well, it's typical of a BMW really. Everything just revolves around the driver and sitting position is just right. For starters, the seats. Comfortable, very supportive, and I like the fact that in BMWs, they give you the option to adjust your rib support so that you don't move around. Although, it doesn't come with lumbar adjustments. Why? I'm actually quite a big fan of this new digital instrument cluster, although I'm not sure why they have to put these semi-rings on it. I think it would look so much cooler and cleaner without it. Compared to the Mercs, it does look less youthful, but if you ask me, this one's like looking at a serene painting, while in the Mercs, it looks like colourful graffiti. Not a bad thing if you ask me, just a matter of personal preference. And good news, the iDrive system is actually quite easy to use. The display is sharp, the interface is smooth. I think it's just really straightforward, and between myself, GC and Adrian, I'm actually the most useless when it comes to technology and gadgets. Over here, it's all quite familiar, although the gear lever looks a little dated, seeing as it's been around for some time, it's still quite effective. And if you ask me, it sure beats changing the gear with the lever here. You get plenty of storage spaces by the door, up front here, and even back here. But I tell you what, the most impressive of all though has to be this. Well, not this, because it's slanted and it looks weird. When you first start the car, especially at cold start, granted it may be a little loud, but once the revs settle down, with the doors closed, it's completely silent. You don't hear any vibrations at all. When I first got the car, there were a few times I thought the auto stop start feature kicked in, and then when I revved the car, I see the revs moving. And that's when I got really impressed by how refined the cabin was. Pull away, especially at low speeds, you feel like you're driving an electric car. But there are obviously a few shortcomings. For 310,000 ringgit or so, I expect maybe a blind spot monitor, maybe a front-facing camera will be helpful, and perhaps a few options for different displays on the instrument cluster, you know, for information about the car. As for visibility, I feel like the A-pillars could perhaps be a little too thick, and together with the side mirrors, the view can be quite obstructive, so just be mindful of that. At the back here, I think it's really time to introduce USB ports instead of 12-volt sockets, don't you think? Otherwise, there's plenty of space and storage compartments, but I do wish the seats could maybe recline a little more. It's so roomy back here that it makes you wonder if the X5 is even necessary, although I really can't wait for the new one to come. A couple of months back when I saw it in Singapore, my god, it looks stunning. You can see more pictures of it in the description below. Maybe if I'm not too fussy, perhaps a panoramic sunroof back here would be quite nice. Personally, I don't really care too much for these things, but I think people who are paying 300,000 ringgit for a car have certain levels of expectations. That being said, I still think it's a very well-built, quality interior. I know how everyone's been complaining about BMW lagging behind its competitors in terms of flamboyance, especially in the interior, but I still think this car has its own discreet but distinct appeal. I'm sure not all of you would agree with me, but some will. Past and present BMW owners especially will understand what I'm talking about. And if you can look past all these shortcomings, especially maybe this wooden trim here, which I'm really not a fan of, like I said much earlier, there is a silver lining to this car. Because this thing drives supremely well. I'm not sure if it's BMW's claim 50-50 weight distribution, or the xDrive all-wheel drive system, the chassis, the powertrain, or everything combined, but it's good. With this xDrive30i, you're getting about 250 horsepower and 350 Newton meters of torque, with Golf GTI rivaling performance. The Golf GTI does 0 to 100 in about 6.4 seconds. This one does it in 6.3, and it's so much heavier. I know it's not important to talk about things like that in a car like this, but I thought it'd be interesting to bring it up because its flashier rival is actually a lot less powerful. Yeah, I'm talking about the one with the 9 gears. I'll be honest, I've not spent much time in that particular car, only a brief drive, but even then I can tell you, this is so much nicer to drive. It's not like the other rival is terrible to drive, no, not by any means. It was still plush and felt like a very expensive SUV. But this one though, if you enjoy driving, but somehow the universe decided to give you some children and you're forced to sell your 3 Series or whatever, this car will make you feel like you're driving something that's made by BMW. While I wouldn't say it drives like a proper BMW though, with all-wheel drive as opposed to rear-wheel drive, higher ground clearance and all that, but I dare stick my neck out and say, this X3 drives the best among all its rivals. Whether you're a father or mother or uncle or auntie, if you enjoy and appreciate a connected drive, see what I did there? You'll know that I'm not lying when you're test driving this X3. And then you have the 8-speed automatic gearbox. This gearbox, along with the 6-speed ones you find in the Mazdas for example, is the very reason I always wonder why car manufacturers even bother with dual clutch transmissions, for everyday cars at least. Shifting the car manually in sport mode, if I didn't tell you, you'd think that this car comes with dual clutch transmission. It's that quick. Sure, you're not going to be driving it in sports mode all the time, although I did. In comfort mode, most of the time, granted, it's a little dialed down, you don't want the gear changes to be so aggressive, and especially then, you hardly feel or even hear the gear changes from the sound the engine makes, which is close to nothing, especially when you're not driving it like a typical BMW driver. Get out of my way! Get out of my way! But I did drive like a typical BMW driver. But despite that, I still managed to get about 550 kilometers from my first tank. Not bad. And the ride quality from in here is just superb. While I wouldn't say it's better than the GLC for example, it's definitely on par. Aside from the minimal rolling noise you get from the tyres, it's like a recording studio in here. At least you get that for the 300 over 1000 ringgit you're paying. And I'm still not very happy with the fact that you don't get fog lights, not even electric steering adjustment. You can argue that it's not something you use all the time, but I think that's beside the point. When I'm paying 100,000 ringgit for a car, I expect it to have certain things. When I'm paying 300,000 ringgit, I expect it to have even more, especially in terms of luxury. Everything needs to be smoother, electrified, digitalized. Whether these electronics will be reliable or not is a totally different story. We're not going to go into that. But this is not very luxurious. What I'm most unhappy about though is that this X3 does not come with any form of autonomous emergency braking, which I feel is unacceptable. Full stop. I used to think these things were pointless, retards the human mind, makes us more dependent on technology. But having experienced it a few times in real-world situations, I was quite grateful to have that extra safety net. I wouldn't rely on it all the time. I always believe in being vigilant on the road, but it's just nice knowing that there's something there to help in case. If I'm going to spend over 300,000 ringgit on a luxury SUV to transport my family in comfort and safety, it's just nice knowing that there's these things to protect them. I mean, even the 50-odd thousand Picanto has that feature, for God's sake. Back to the tyres that I talked about earlier, the X3 comes with Bridgestone run flats, which explains all the extra storage compartments you get in the boot because it doesn't come with a spare. And for what it's worth, considering run flats are really uncomfortable, this one haven't exactly compromised the ride comfort. Not bad. But the magic about this car, I think, is the suspension. If I have to choose one thing about the X3 to praise, that would be it. Maybe along with the 8-speed Steptronic gearbox. You don't get the fancy adaptive dampers or the air suspension, but damn, it's good. Assuring and stable enough through the high-speed corners, handles the car's weight quite well, and in the lower speeds, it just has this nice, firm feeling to it. Going through a bump, even if you're gunning through it, you just feel the back absorbing the bump really nicely. Just genius. At the end of the day, despite all the X3's shortcomings, I still believe it can give the GLC a good fight. And if I'm really going to pay over 300,000 ringgit for a luxury German SUV, I'd be quite unhappy to be shortchanged of a few essential features. But as crazy as it sounds, this is still the one I go for. I just like the way it drives. So, is the all-new third generation BMW X3 the car for you? If you're looking for an SUV that drives and rides supremely well, is really refined, and can accept the fact that it's just barely adequately equipped, then yes, there is no doubt about it. But if you think for the same amount of money you can get something with a lot more features and is a bit flashier than this, then perhaps not. For more information on the all-new BMW X3, do log on to AutoBuzz.my. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, share it, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to hit the bell icon for the latest notifications on our latest videos. This car review episode is powered by the all-new Petronas Premax 95 with ProDrive. Move like never before. Because this thing drives supreme. So let me first address the elephant. But the magic about this car, I think, lies in the suspension. If I have to choose one, the